And welcome back to the Hot Lap. Are Red Bull back? Well, if you go by FP1 and FP2, very likely. And this is all thanks to their new, but not really new, Frankenstein type floor that they've taken from all their upgrades and done kind of like a best of. Yeah. So, Red Bull are back. So let's then have a look at FP1 and FP2, shall we? So as you can see here, hopefully you can see this is a large version of the FP1 classification, where Max Verstappen ended up being 0.3 faster than Lewis Hamilton, Sergio Perez in third. It was a Red Bull 1-3. They were looking very good. Yeah, McLaren maybe not so much, and we'll get onto that a bit in a second. We've got Oscar Piastri in 6th. Yeah, Fernando Alonso in 7th. George Russell, to be fair, had an absolute mare of a day, didn't he? Not very good at all whatsoever. But, as we kind of know, FP1 doesn't really mean that much in the grand scheme of things. And, well, yeah, this happened in FP1 as well. As you can see here, it's Charles Leclerc. Yeah, I'm stupid. I mean, there we go.
Into the wall.
Into the wall.
Charles Leclerc finds the barrier.
Yeah. Whoops-a-daisy, Charles Leclerc. But let's have a look. Let's forget that, Charles. Because why? Because of this. As you can see here, Charles Leclerc fastest in FP2. Sergio Perez second. Lewis Hamilton in third. And those top three by 66 thousandths or 600ths of a second. 60, I mean, that's hardly anything. Half a second down then was Carlos Sainz. Oscar Piastri, half a second down then. And interesting, Oscar Piastri, more comfortable than Lando Norris, seemingly. However, the caveat being, Norris is not 1.6 seconds off. No. I mean, he just didn't get a decent run. But Norris himself has come out, and we'll talk about that in a bit. That he's not particularly happy about the way his car is. So, papaya rules? No more, maybe? I don't know. But well done to Charles Leclerc. Ferrari, there was a big question mark over whether Ferrari were going to be were they going to be any good? Was the big question mark. We come to Baku, which, despite the long straights, is very different to Monza because you've got that twisty, turny middle section. And they're looking not too bad. But I think the big exclamation point is Sergio Perez. Yes, if Red Bull are back, is Sergio Perez back? And at the moment, he's looking more tidy than his teammate Max Verstappen. Now, when's the last time we said that? It would have been probably last time in Baku last year, which was earlier in the year. So maybe even like a good 18 months-esque ago. So well done, Sergio Perez. Lewis Hamilton looking good as well. And here we go here. These are basically all of the sector times and who has the fastest sector time thanks to the lights out. So Ferrari are very much sector 1 by 16 thousandths of a second. But it's Red Bull in sector 2. Now, the reason why Red Bull was meant to be very good in sector 2 is because they had put the wing on. They put the wing on. They're fastest in the corners. Their car, and that's pretty much all that middle sector is. It's all about the corners. And then it's Aston Martin in sector 3. But it's Red Bull that has the ideal lap time when you add all the fastest sectors together. Second being Mercedes, third being Ferrari, and fourth being McLaren. Fifth being Aston Martin. But it's those top four. It's the top four within 1.5 tenths in terms of their ideal lap. So it's going to be very exciting. Interestingly, Alpine, the slowest of the bunch, as you can see there is Sauber. Just a tiny bit far. Well, not just a tiny bit. We're talking about a good 8 tenths faster. And then you've obviously got RB and then Williams and then Haas. Ollie Behrman not doing too bad for Haas as well. When we look at the time, just the first practice session. Let's have a look. Let's then have a look at the second practice session where Charles Leclerc goes fast and Sergio Perez second fast. We know about that, but if we look all the way down to a tenth, there's our man Oliver Behrman. Absolutely well done. Not looking too bad at all. I mean, he's a couple of tenths off Nico Hülkenberg. Yeah, Kevin Magnussen, eat your heart out, maybe. I don't know. So, and you've probably seen this one here, which I'm gonna this guy, Daniel Valent, I probably got your name wrong. Sorry, Daniel. But he said messy track session. But what's interesting, he's put. Here are the FP2 long runs from Baku on mediums: 49.0, 49.2, 49.2, 49.3, 49.5. But then Lewis Hamilton average of 48.820 on a hard tyre run. Charles Leclerc's lap times are included, but a short stint. So if we make this so all of you can no doubt see, I mean, it does make for interesting. It does make for interesting reading when you look at the Hamilton's hard compared to the others. It doesn't really. It's not looking too bad, is it? That's not bad at all. I mean, in the 48s, Hamilton on the hard tyre. Now, I know we said Red Bull is back, and we'll most certainly talk about that in a minute. But before we get there, I just want to say about this thing here. This is Christian Horner on Aston Martin's Adrian Newey announcement, let's say. They chose to celebrate it slightly prematurely before his contract is finished with, Red Bull Racing, but obviously it was a big moment for that team. What a negative compliment that is. Yes, a nice big serving of salt with your spaghetti bolognese, I think there, Christian Horner, or whatever you're eating. It's just, they could, it looks like drink bottles could be shot. Could be 4 salt shakers. Yeah, didn't need to say that, did he? Didn't need to say that, but it's Christian Horner. What do you expect? What do you expect from Christian Horner? That. But then again, he has up until this year anyway. He has run Red Bull very well. You can't deny their success. So Verstappen has been very encouraged by what is a more competitive Red Bull performance in Baku. He believes that they've made progress with the car following that Friday practice, and it very much looks like they have. The car didn't look like a handful, although Max was making more mistakes than we'd normally see in a practice session, especially compared to last year. He did end up half a second slower than pacesetter Leclerc, but he said, I think overall a good day, and that's what he told the official F1 channel. He said, we learned quite a bit. He said, now it's just about tidying. Sorry about that. He said, now it's just deafened everyone. Now it's just about tidying up the things that we tried. But I think so far we have been more competitive. So he made, as I said, 2 notable errors, and even Verstappen came out and said the track is very slippery. Slippery. There's a lot of 90-degree corners. So if you have a tiny lock-up, sometimes you hold the brake, and yeah, it just goes. For FP2, for sure, was a bit more difficult for me, but like I said, we just need to get the balance together. So that's let's be honest, that's a very happy Verstappen. Why though? Well, Red Bull. It's all about their new floor, and it was kind of like a small update, a small floor revision to the Azerbaijan Grand Prix for the RB20. And Verstappen, he qualified, and it's not too bad. I mean, in Monza, it wasn't particularly great. And he said on Thursday, going into the weekend, that lessons had been learned, while conceding that it would take time for the results. Now, the floor mod did make it in time for Baku, and the team's official submission to the FIA noting changes applied to improve pressure gradients along the floor to improve the flow locally and downstream in all conditions. And we all know how important that floor is for sucking the car onto the track. Now, RBR chief engineer Paul Monaghan, he noted that the team had licked our wounds as it tried to get to the bottom of the issues. He said, we're not going to sit still from his comments on our performance in Monza and do nothing to bring here and hope, he said. And they most certainly brought that flaw, and it's not looking too bad at all, is it? No. So, last but not least, I just want to quickly talk about a certain Lando Norris, and he says that McLaren are quite a long way off in Baku. Yeah, he believes that they kind of had a muted practice performance. But Norris's teammate Oscar Piastri, he was 5th fastest, half a second behind pace setter Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari, and similar distance away from Red Bull Sergio Perez and Mercedes driver George Russell. But Norris only managed 17th, but he did not set, to be fair, as we said, a representative time on those soft tyres. Now, while it's unwise to read too much into Friday practice time, we don't know what engine modes they're running, we don't know what fuel they're running. Norris couldn't hide feeling that he's not particularly happy with the McLaren. He said, quote, we're quite a long way off. I'm having to push way too much to get a lap time out of it. Clearly, I think where Oscar was is kind of more where we are. If we nail it, we're just about there, but I'm sure the competitors are not even close to nailing it yet. We have quite a lot to find, honestly. Compared to Mercedes, Ferrari and Red Bull, they're all very similar. And then there's a good 3-4 tenths gap back to us. Yeah, I kind of feel a bit for Norris there, but there we go. Anyway, if you like what you see, give us a subscribe. That would be absolutely fantastic. hit that notification button to not miss a video. Stay safe, and we will speak to you soon. Stay tuned over the Azerbaijan/Baku Grand Prix weekend. I've done it again. I keep pressing. Okay, now we're going to go. Outro.